Good afternoon from Sacred Space at Titania's Realm. It's Sunday the 9th of November 2025 and the time is 2:23 p.m. It's cold and murky, not cold but it's a grey and murky spring day. When does summer start? 1st of December, isn't it? Yes, I think so, technically, although it starts when Mother Nature says it starts, not according to the Gregorian calendar, you understand. But anyway, I've been making, I don't know if you can see it, I've been working on my friend Belinda's pendant, and I tried soldering on the little balls last night. They didn't solder, so I'm distressed. But I'll have to keep at it till they're soldered on. And this morning I only got up at, I think it was midday-ish. Can't remember exactly what time. I've only been up a couple of hours anyway. But I went straight to work and sawed off the top edge of that so I can solder on the bail, which is here, so it's going to look like that. And I'm exhausted from the stress of trying to get it to work, and I also discovered that it hasn't completely soldered down on the base plate, which I'm distressed about because I didn't see that yesterday. It wasn't until I put it in the pickle again after the failure of the embellishments that I discovered it's not quite soldered down in parts, which cannot happen. It'll make it too easy to break off. So I'm going to have to go back in and somehow add more silver to the base to fill those gaps, and it's going to be an epic big job. So I won't be taking on commissions ever again, even though my beautiful Belinda meant well and wanted to inspire me. I'm simply not good enough. I'm having to go back in and redo it. It's already been redone now several times yesterday, and it's overwhelming for me. So my beautiful friend Sheila Snow in America asked if I would make one for her. She's got a stone that she bought in 1994, but it's not that simple, and it risks cracking the stone, losing the stone, and as I said, a lot of epic failures. If the worst comes to the worst and I find this, I can't do it, which is bullshit because I can. I've made things before without as much trouble, so I don't know what the block is. It's not that I don't want to do it for Belinda. I did hesitate because I know it's a lot of work and stress-inducing for me. But it's not that I don't want Belinda to have something lovely and special. It's just that it's a journey I'm on, and but I'll keep at it until it's finished, because I've made up my mind that I want her to have it, because, you know, it's a matter of principle now. I mean, I could give her back her money and say I can't do it, but that's failing, isn't it? It's quitting, and it's giving up on myself and my abilities, and it's easy to give up on myself. I've had a lot of attacks on my spirit in recent months, the last 7 months actually. A lot of vicious attacks, and I mustn't give in to them. They're other people's evil and envy and atrophies. They've actually got nothing to do with me, I've been reacting to it and holding it like a weather vane flying in the wind in every direction, and that's got to stop too. It's their shit. It's not my shit. It's their shit, and it's vile and it's evil, and it's not mine to carry. I'm not Jesus, and I'm not a martyr, although martyrdom has happened many times in my life, up to and including the false Nazi libel in 1989. That being the worst martyrdom of all, given I was newly arrived in this country with my babies, starting a new life as a migrant here in Brisbane with my then husband, and new business. And oh no, I hadn't bought the business yet. 1990 we bought the business, but trying to get myself established, and then that evil viciousness happened. And whenever I think about how shit life really is and was and has been, I go back to that time and I think hard about it, what it cost me even to be a Jew in this city of Brisbane, this state of Queensland, and what it cost my children, Moroccan Israeli men putting their hands on my throat and raping me, and the other Israeli English Scottishman that's up in the ether somewhere doing the same, and all because of what? I happen to look a bit fucking German, which isn't even my fault, quite frankly. Wasn't even born in Germany. And if I were born in Germany, still wouldn't have been my fault, because I was born in 1965, 20 years after the war in Germany ended. But I'm still being punished, for just for existing. No other reason, actually. Just for being alive and wanting to be loved and included and belong. It's that evil, and it's happened again and again and again, and I want to cry when I think about it, but the tears are there just welling up, but they won't cleanse it. They won't cleanse that filth. There's only one way to cleanse that filth, and that is to live so joyously and triumphantly and successfully in my own mind, body and spirit, that when the next verminous vipers come along, and they will, because it's a train wreck to hell on the highway to heaven, they will. Next time I'll just look at them and nod politely and back my way to the wall and come out kicking and screaming and fighting. Just how I've survived so far. Or better yet, nod politely and walk away and not be seduced by their lies that they love me and they love my power. They think I'm amazing and awesome, and actually they're just a lying, limpid lisper. Oh, you have to laugh. Mama too has to have a little bit of gleeful schadenfreude at times. And, the other one, the long-term friendship, is a deep sadness, actually, that's died. But friendships die, love partnerships die. Sometimes, ultimately, people die. And all you have left are the memories of the good times and the love that was available at one time and that was nurtured and cherished and held precious for a very, very long time. So no regrets. I loved freely of my own free will, and no one can take that away from me, and no one can sully it, even though they keep trying, babies. Anyway, I think this, if and when I get those little balls to solder down, this pendant's going to be quite lovely, and I'll be quite proud of myself. So I'll put that aside for now, because it's grinding my gears that it failed to solder down last night, and I don't know why. That should have worked. So that's the thing, is sometimes you just don't know why things don't work out, and other times you've just got to go back in and try again. But there's no sense trying again when relationships turn toxic and rancid and awful, because you're only setting yourself up for long-term abuse dynamics and grief. And it's a waste of energy to be trapped in a grievous hellscape with people who play you false and don't actually even like or respect you, and it's an ugliness beyond belief, and you live in that denial because every human being on this planet wants to be loved and wants to belong to someone or some group or something. It's programmed into us by the education system, actually, and society, and treat us like we're herd animals, and some of us refuse to jump off the cliff like the lemming, and refuse to enact the fall. So there is that. The fallen have fallen by their own free will and their own free choices, and those who stood strong have stood strong by their own free will and their own choices, and it is what it is. So I fall in a emotional heap from time to time, especially when I lose long-term friends. It's very destabilizing for me, because I don't have family, and I don't have a congregation to belong to anymore, because that was too toxic for too long. And I had two very close friends, and they were my family for a long, long time. But actually, in truth, both have drifted, both have drifted. When I ring my handsome, talented, wonderful friend Jared, he says to me very cordially, "It's so lovely that you keep contact with me, Tanya. I appreciate you calling me," and but he doesn't call me himself very often anymore, and months can go by where there's no contact, and I need more than that from my friends and my friendship family. And I'm not being needy or demanding, but once every few weeks or months, it's really not enough effort to invest in someone that you profess to care about as a friend. I need more participatory evidence of your love than that. So another one that is no doubt about to bite the dust, and I'm conscious that I will have to continue completely alone, which puts me in a very vulnerable position as a 60-year-old woman. But I was vulnerable when I was 30, 3 strangulations up until I was 35, very vulnerable. I was vulnerable in my 40s with that boyfriend I was with his threatening neo-fucking Nazi friends. I was vulnerable when I invited myself to an outlaw bikie clubhouse, who ironically made me welcome for 8 months. I was vulnerable when I went out dancing in the night alone, which I've done now for just over 20 years, actually, dating back to the times when I used to go to the Greenbank RSL. I've been vulnerable all my life, and yet in that vulnerability I've been exceedingly stoic, determined, powerful, and quite surprisingly at times, given the ugliness that was hurled at me over periods of time, loving. But today is another day, and onwards and upwards to people who treat me with basic respect. It's actually all I ask of anyone. Don't have to like me, don't have to love me, don't have to want to hang out with me, don't have to be with me in any real meaningful way, but treat me courteously and with respect. Right. Chapter 11 of Part 5, 7 types of ambiguity. He had told me to record all my thoughts about Anna. Now, in prison, he talked to me about her, about my memories of her. Write it all down, the good and the bad. We'll talk about it. There was so much. I'm just going to have to, just a moment, undo my bench pin. I'm leaning on it, but it's stabbing me in my elbow as I read it. Mumity does not do discomfort or torture. It's one of the things I won't tolerate. Here it is. Put it down. It's got to get out of my way. Cause me discomfort or torture me. Get the fuck out of my way and keep out of my way. There was so much, too much to talk about. One doesn't normally talk about the good times, not easily anyway, which is really quite sad, because you should talk about the good times, because life is a blend of good and bad, and why should the bad times take prominence and taint everything and distort everything and everyone you love and care for and turn everything to shit? Must not allow that to happen. Never allow that. Hold on to the good times. They're ballast for when the world gets really topsy-turvy, and COVID is only just a beginning of the playbooks they've got planned for us people of Earth. So hold on to good times and good people, and people who have the courage to say no. They're not inherently interesting except to the dramatis personae themselves. I like that. Drama queens. One feels silly trying to explain exactly what it was one felt and why it felt so good, but he insisted. I had to assume his reasons were valid, but it made me uncomfortable. It trivialized it. Is that the point, Alex? To trivialize what you felt? I'm asking the questions here. You were telling me, you were describing the mental images of her that remain with you. This is ridiculous. There are too many. What's the point of this? Go back to the one you were telling me about. You were alone together at your parents' beach house on the Mornington Peninsula. You said it was summer. You said you had the house to yourselves that time. The house wasn't anything special, not like some of them are. You weren't talking about the house. It was night. It was night, and we were in bed. We had been at the beach for much of the day. We had come home, showered, and made love. It was a long, long session, long enough to encompass different shades of mood, different types of lovemaking. We fell asleep, read, showered again, and made dinner. I barbecued lamb chops. She liked the taste of lamb, and she made one of her elaborate salads. We were drinking a little bit. After dinner, we had some of my father's scotch. I started a crossword, and we read a little. We took what we were reading to bed. I think we might have played around a bit, not another marathon session, but we were always hungry for each other. That's how you know when you're really in love, when there's that kind of undercurrent of hunger, not of desperation or craving or, something just filling an awful void in your soul, but that, can't wait to see you, that excitement, that frisson. Then I slept for a while. I don't think Anna did. Maybe she did. I woke from my nap. She was beside me and I went on reading. I think it was Kundera. Kundera? No idea what that is. Kundera. I felt I was the first person in the world to read Kundera, ahead of even the Czechs. Are people still reading him, do you think? I've never heard of him. My goodness. What an education. Didn't even know how to pronounce his name. Wow, you see, Mama T's not perfect and I don't claim to be. I'm perfect in my imperfections though. So many imperfections. All I can do is raise my eyes to the gods and laugh. I turned off the bedside lamp, the one on my side. Hers was still on, and I remember just watching her, looking at her. Why do you remember this? I don't know. I just do. She looked beautiful. I remember thinking that. Didn't you often think she looked beautiful? Of course, I often did. Why do you remember this time in particular? It was the conjunction of things, I suppose. Isn't that what it always is? I look at her on the other side of the bed. Sorry, I looked, past tense. I looked at her on the other side of the bed. I drank her in. She lay on top of the bed, smooth olive skin, interrupted only briefly by the white silk of her underwear and the silver bracelet I'd bought her. She had a beautiful shape, full, not overweight, but not scrawny either. Yes, that's very beautiful on a woman. And she's in the fullness of her femininity. Not too fat, but not too thin. Just well-rounded and luscious. Same goes for men, I suppose. Her breasts were unambiguous. She was unambiguously female, not just feminine, but entirely woman. Excuse me. There was nothing androgynous about her. Excuse me. I keep seeing her eyes, huge black eyes. They swallowed you. You wanted them to. I did. I was wearing her glasses, the tortoiseshell glasses with her thick nut. Sorry, I've got blurred visions, believe it or not. I keep mixing up words. Because I thought, why is I read that? Why would he be wearing her glasses? That's not even logical. Right, here we go again, babies. She was wearing her glasses, the tortoise shell glasses, with her thick nut-coloured hair tied back. I don't know why, Alex. I just remember it. She had a pencil in one hand doing the crossword. The whole scene appeared to me. I remember thinking I was experiencing a moment of perfection. It's sublime, you know, those moments of intimacy that you share with a lover. Those just ordinary, ephemeral moments that float away like wisps in the wind when it all turns savage or ugly or treacherous. But you have a memory of a look that passed between you, or a tenderness, and that's all you've got to sustain you. Sweet memories of things that probably meant nothing to that other person anyway, because it was just a fucked up game, but you know, that's all you're left with, people of Earth. And it has to be enough to sustain you, because it's all that is, a mirage and a faint wisp of a memory. I was experiencing a moment of perfection. It's not up to us to choose the visual images that stay with us. Everything I ever wanted just seemed to crowd into that instant. Crosswords? What? You used to do a lot of crosswords? Yeah, I was pretty good at them. I started doing them as a kid, the whole word thing, you know, puns, palindromes, anagrams. I must have been quite a pain in the arse. I graduated to spelling puzzles, crosswords, cryptic crosswords. Rare use at 1, 3 and 5. 7 letters. Give up? Unusual. How do you get that? 7 letters. Rare. Use, written as in sheep, but taken as a homophone to refer to the letter U, which occurs in the word unusual 3 times at positions 1, 3 and 5. It fits. That's very clever. Yeah, like an idiot savant. You were still doing crosswords when you were a university student? Yeah, so? Didn't consume my time or anything. It was just a bit of fun, you know, a bit of... You said Anna was doing the crossword. She was reading something. You said Anna was doing the crossword. I don't think so. I was doing the crossword. she was probably, you were reading Kundera, the first in the world ever to read him. I don't get it. What's your point? What if I said she was doing the crossword? What does it matter? Simon, it only matters to you. And you know, the reason he's questioning him, and I've noticed that too, skillfully written by Elliot Perlman, how Simon drifts in and out of ordinary reality. And he's not trying to lie, but he just flips the script completely, like, you know, it's happening to someone else, or someone else is doing, and it'll be trivial little things like this. It's not blatant lies, but he blatantly lies when he said Anna gave him permission to take her son. But it's almost like he believes the lie, or wants so badly to believe the lie that he completely flips reality on its head. Like I do with my love life and my close friendships now. By the gods, it's enough to make me want to unalive myself, but I won't, because I know I'm worth more and capable of more and deserve better than that. And it's part of their Mother Hydra baby playbook. Whittle me down until I wish, crave, lust for, long for oblivion and death. And in real terms, there is no death. It would only be the death of this form and this personality and this mental construct. And I've rebuilt this mental construct dozens of times, so as I say, there's only one thing that can make me finally unalive myself, and that would be Alzheimer's or dementia. And only because I refuse to be vulnerable to monsters ever, ever, ever again. And I saw what happened in the old people's home when my mother languished there for the last 18 months of her life. I saw how you're maltreated and abused, and I won't submit to that. Not ever. Not no how, not no time. Never, never, never. If I have to, I'll throw myself literally on the wires. But I pray, as I've prayed every day of my life, to keep my mind clean and clear and pristine, and able to fight whatever comes my way. And it's come to me in the most invidious and unexpected and evil ways, usurping my own friends against me. That is a heavy, heavy grief, a heavy grief that I will also have to work through. Simon, it only matters to you. What are you talking about? Don't get cryptic on me, Alex. Was she doing the crossword or not? It's your perfect moment. I don't know. It doesn't change anything. Maybe she was finishing my crossword? Simon, she never did crosswords, did she? No, you're wrong. She did. I think she did. Did she read Kundera? She had to. Did you take any of the same courses? We took English and politics together. That's how we met. There was even a combined honours course we took in third year. The politics of literature, 2 2-hour seminars a week, drove me crazy. Why? Too much reading? There was a lot of reading, but it wasn't that. My suspicions about the nature of the English department were confirmed. It hurt. I took it personally. What do you mean? Let me give you an example. We had a visiting lecturer, a professor, some escapee from the class of 1968, he comes in wearing a cravat. Oh, I see. Pompous? He was pompous, authoritarian, but not in the way you'd expect. It was that new breed of pomposity that smugly masquerades as a kind of matey egalitarianism. You were explicitly invited, encouraged to call him by his first name and to participate in class discussion. But you were implicitly forbidden to publicly disagree with him by his manner, his body language, and his Sinaic delivery. Sinaic. Interesting. I see. He was giving a seminar on George Orwell, and in particular the novel 1984. At the back of the book, Orwell put an appendix. I think I need new glasses, by the gods. It's not even 2 years yet. Well, what would I like to turn blind to, people of Earth? What is it I wish I didn't see, couldn't see, don't ever want to see? Don't answer that question. It's rhetorical, you understand. If we answer that question, we truly will go insane. And I won't give them that. Not my sanity I fought so hard to claw back. At the back of the book, Orwell put an appendix outlining the principles of Newspeak, the language of the novel's totalitarian Big Brother. The idea posited in the book, or one of them anyway, was that by taking away the word for something, you take away the concept, which is what we've been doing a lot in recent times. Unalivement instead of suicide. Other words that bother the AI algorithms, which are disturbing beyond belief. Where does a machine have the right to change our human language systems that evolved over time, but, you know, in our contemporary world, words have meaning, in fact, layers of meaning. Take away a person's language, you take away their cultural identity. The colonialists did it to Indigenous peoples all across the globe, and now we let machines colonise us and change our language. It's truly insane, people of Earth. It's another thing that I won't be silenced about and I won't be blind to. Even if God's forfend, I end up blind. For example, Orwell has Big Brother outlaw the use of the word bad, which is replaced by the word ungood. You see how ridiculous and silly it is, and how absurdist and how degrading and insulting and dehumanizing. So every time you go along with that, you're participatory in your own enslavement, people of Earth, and in the death of your own cultural identity. It's why I fully endorse Indigenous peoples across the globe reclaiming their ancient languages. Māori for the Polynesian peoples of New Zealand, Hebrew and Aramaic and Biblical Hebrew for Jewish people residing in Israel and beyond, if they choose to learn those ancient languages. Latin for the academics and doctors, and I suppose lawyers too. The ancient Roman language that, by the way, is still used in exorcisms. That's how powerful the words are, people of Earth. Even though I'm not a Catholic, even I acknowledge that. Gaelic for the Irish and the Celtic speakers, and the Sami people having their own language, and no doubt the Inuit people too. People in South America of indigenous descent owning their own languages back. It's very, very important to your continuance and your traditions to honour your words. Keep your word impeccable. Don't lie, don't obfuscate, and don't change the language to suit someone or something else's sensibilities. Own your own truth. It's a hill you should all be dying on, people of Earth. Including fighting against digital IDs, because that's another form of entrapment and enslavement. Making you dance to someone else's tune. Evil beyond belief. And you should dance freely and joyously and wildly and triumphantly in your own body, mind and spirit, for your own purposes, not to please or accede to anyone else's idea of you. And if you're doing the performance art like I do when I show up, you should be paid too, even if though at one time it was only in cheaper drinks, because, you know, everyone assumed that you were the lover of a man in the band, which you never were. You're not some man's whore. But you should be paid accordingly, respectfully, honouringly. But does it matter in the broad scheme of things? No, because the Mama T goes out and dances and she pays her own way anyway, as she always has done in this life. Nobody owns me, nobody controls me, and nobody buys or sells me. I give of my time and my energy of my own free will, or not at all, as the case may be. The visiting professor, who subsequently made a home for himself in the department, rambled on, asking the class a series of trivial questions which culminated in a consideration of what comes first, the concept or the word for the concept. Can bad exist without a word for it? When the class reached the conclusion, fairly quickly, that generally the concept comes first. They came up with the word bad to describe things that are bad. The professor triumphantly suggested that, together, we had proved all well wrong. Then I did what one was never to do. I objected to his characterization of what we had together just done. I told him Orwell can't be wrong. He was a novelist, not a social theorist. He can be a good novelist or a bad novelist. He can create a world which is more or less convincing. He can even devise an implausible conceit, misrepresent reality. But he can't be wrong. A novel, like poetry, can be more or less insightful, more or less profound. It can certainly be more or less moving. It can even be moral or immoral. But, being fiction, it cannot be true or false in the way that an empirical proposition is true or false. Hold on, Simon. Isn't that a bit extreme? After all, fiction is usually anchored to at least elements of reality to give it a verisimilitude. And insofar as these real elements are concerned, surely their representation can be said to be true or false, even if the work of fiction as a whole can't be said to be true or false? Yes, you're right, of course, but what do you expect from a child who has to disagree just to prove he was there? Anyway, the professor became flustered. His face grew red. He started shouting, accusing me of either not taking literature seriously enough or not taking politics seriously enough. The man was an idiot. But why were you so hostile in the first place? The hostility wasn't so much to him or to what he'd said. It was to what was happening to the English department. Like so many others in the country, it was in the process of turning into a cultural studies department, with all that implies. What does it imply? Where do I start? It implies a rigid doctrinaire embrace of certain amorphous schools of thought, often grouped together under the mantle of postmodernism. Now, you're probably thinking this is surely just another fad within the social sciences or the arts to which some people will subscribe and others won't. Who really cares? That's not quite what I was thinking, but if it had been, you would have put it very well. The real and grave problem with this particular fad is what it includes and what it has come to exclude. My birdie boys are very quiet today. When English departments become departments of cultural studies, it means that the decision makers within them embrace, adhere to, or to put it more aptly, are under the sway of Jacques Derrida's deconstructionism. Do you know anything about Derrida? Not much, just that you rail against him nearly as often as you sing the praises of Empson. Yeah, but do you know what he and his deconstructionist friends have to say? To be frank, not really. Nor, for that matter, do I know why anyone should be so upset by it. Well, Alex, that only confirms that you don't know anything about deconstructionism and the harm its wholesale adoption by the Literary Academy in particular has reaped. And you don't need to be actively involved in the study of literature to find it pernicious. Okay, enlighten me. Deconstructionism or postmodernism, insofar as it pertains to the language, is a doctrine originating with Derrida and others that asserts that every lingual statement, they call this a text, has a large number of meanings rather than a meaning, that every text is essentially ambiguous. Isn't that what your friend Empson was on about in 7 Types of Ambiguity? No, not at all. Empson merely suggested that what separates much of the very best poetry from the rest is the latent ambiguity within it. He was only talking about poetic language. He didn't claim that all literature, let alone all texts, were riddled with ambiguity. For Christ's sake, don't ever confuse Empson with Derrida. Sorry. No, this is serious, Alex. Deconstructionists claim that neither the intention of the author nor any putative connection between words and some non-lingual reality will confer any more or less agreed definitive meaning to a text. They claim, on the contrary, that words only acquire any meaning at all by virtue of their relationship with other words. But like a woman only acquires any kind of value if she only aligns with certain men, some who treat you like a whore, and others who treat you like a warrior, goddess, queen of her own destiny. Be careful who you couple with or intend to link with in any even tenuous way, people of Earth. Let me repeat that sentence, sorry. They claim, on the contrary, that words only acquire any meaning at all by virtue of their relationship with other words, and these only with other words, and so on ad infinitum, and that this endlessly defers arriving at any agreed fixed meaning. Rather than arrive at the meaning of a text, all you can do, they say, is to deconstruct it, by which they mean to keep on endlessly uncovering the ambiguities and contradictions within it. The effect of this is that you are left with an infinite number of possible meanings or interpretations. Okay, so they're wrong, but why do they make you so angry? I still don't understand why they make you so angry. After all, Simon, all they're doing is taking the observation that many statements are somewhat ambiguous and open to a number of interpretations to an absurd extreme. No, Alex, don't you see? What the deconstructionists are doing is much worse than that. By denying that there is a fixed correspondence between language and the world, and concomitantly between language and meaning, they deny that there can be any objective facts or knowledge at all. Thus, it is open to them to deny, for instance, that the Second World War occurred, to dismiss all science as just one of a limitless number of narratives, and to deny that Shakespeare's plays are more significant than Enid Blyton's stories. In other words, a fucking outrage. Although the COVIDian scientific narrative was defunct and oblique and evil and sadistic and co-sponsored the depopulation of my species that I belong to, willingly or unwillingly, Homo sapiens sapiens. That was one narrative that was most unscientific, turned into a fashion plate for every dumb motherfucker to follow blindly to their own destruction. I'm still astonished that they were able to pull that one off, by the way. Astonished and outraged. Deconstruction delegitimizes all that man has accomplished intellectually, morally and aesthetically since he climbed out of the trees and began to walk upright. For them, nothing is true or false, no political system is good or bad, no work of art is superior to any other. In that case, they're completely mad. But tell me, Simon, if, as they claim, complete ambiguity bestrides the world like a colossus and no text has a definitive meaning, then neither do the texts of deconstruction itself. It's hoisted on its own petard. Not only does it dismiss science and everything else, it dismisses itself as well. Exactly, Alex. Exactly. So you'll be stunned to learn the extent to which people swallowed it all. And no group of people swallowed it more than the academics in departments once devoted to the study of literature. The dumbing down of our species. But it was part of the plan. Infest the highest echelons of society, the university lecture rooms. An invasion of something dark and fetid and anti-humanist. Mamati has spoken. She who herself was driven out of a Bachelor of Arts degree in literature by rape threats in 1982. 83 when I walked away from it, correction. I was 17. Going on 18. The bastards. Absolute bastardry was done to me. Robbed me of my degree and therefore potential for proper success in this world. And I was ill. Complex PTSD and major depression even back then. So it was easy to drive me out. Took advantage of my illness. The bastards. Sometimes I'm glad. Sometimes I am glad to watch this world dying. If it weren't that there are sweet and innocent and noble and courageous souls out there like me that deserve better, I would just sit back and stoke the fire and watch it all burn. But there's love in the world, out there somewhere. So For that alone, I try to continuously hold it together and stay in this dimensionality of shitfulness. I was doing that at 17 too, by the way, till I couldn't hold it together any longer, because to do so would have been a treason of my own body, mind and spirit. These departments ceased being the home of literary critics and became the home of theorists of deconstructionist criticism who wrote about the self-betrayal of the text. These new emperors of the humanities scorned literary excellence as elitist, entirely subjective, and a reflection merely of the dominant paradigm. And with their clumsy, jargon-ridden opacity, they succeeded in intimidating those students and scholars not already under their sway. The term theory came to be understood as their theory. They all but refused to teach what had before them been regarded as the best that Western literature had to offer. They argue that no work of literature, not Shakespeare, not Dante or Donne, not Dickens or Hardy, has any intrinsic value. Value is for them a term reflecting the political interests of a particular group or class. There's no premium on consistency. While they claim that it is impossible to discern definitive meaning in all the writings that distinguish us from the apes, including their own, which doesn't seem to embarrass them, they nevertheless claim that it is possible to discern the way these writings function to covertly influence society in accordance with the interests of the established elites. Alex, these doctrines have savaged the meaning of literature in universities. A lot of the best art will hardly ever come to you. You have to come to it. You have to work at it, or you will go without it. And if you do miss out, you will have all but lost in the never-ending argument with yourself over whether there is anything that redeems us. Right, we'll finish there. The next chapter's a very long one, and I'm tired, people. I didn't have a very long sleep, but my eyes are blurred and sore, and I'm tired. I'm tired of all the evil bullshit. I'm tired of always being on the losing end of humanity and relationships. I'm tired of struggling. I'm tired of poverty. I'm tired of living in housing commission, which at the same time gives me a safe haven, so I can be grateful for that much, and for my lovely garden, for my lovely birdies gifted me back in May. So there are lovely things in my life that I don't take for granted, but I'm just tired. But you know, let's be real here. I'm very sensitive to energy. I'm a highly sensitive person, which is a pain in my ass, quite frankly. And you know, the skies are sullen today, and it's raining, which is a wonderful thing. We need the rain, so I'm grateful for the rain, but it's the overwhelming feeling of oppression and humidity and greyness that's probably making me feel tired too. So we won't buy into the oppression even of the weather. We will rise above it, as I do in every aspect of my life, and we will rest enjoyment, and we will have something to eat and relax. And blessed be people of earth. I'll be back no doubt tomorrow with another chapter, or 2 or 3. You know, tomorrow's a long chapter, maybe just one chapter tomorrow. We're up to chapter 12, I believe. So blessed be from my sacred space to yours. Remember, wherever you are here on planet Earth, amongst all sentient beings, all dimensionalities, all wise ones seen and unseen, hold your line, stay in your own truth, and love yourselves and those you can trust in to truly love you, and let the rest go. Our journey continues without them. Bye for now.